Welcome to the Dan Sports Tips NFL preview show for week 8 of the NFL season and week 9 of the college football season. I will be running through the games I like in the NFL this weekend. We have started off fairly below par. We are about 27 points down, having gone 13-20-1 on the NFL so far this season. We have had a good couple of weeks clawing our way back. There are a couple of games I like this week. The New York Jets at the Cleveland Browns. With the likelihood of Josh McCown returning for Cleveland, the Browns offense should see something of an uptick in production this week, especially from Gary Barnidge, a tight end who has linked consistently well with McCown over the last couple of seasons. Ryan Fitzpatrick will be back for the Jets for a start, having looked angry when he came in for the England injured Geno Smith last week after a very short period on the bench due to that injury. Neither teams can defend the pass all that well. I think in the grand scheme of things, the line of the total points of 43.5 looks achievable in this game. Cleveland do have some weapons in the passing game. They will be unable themselves to cover the Jets receivers. Matt Forte is probably going to give them plenty to do on the ground as well. Despite these two offenses being fairly low scoring, I'm going to play over 43.5 points in the New York Jets at the Cleveland Browns. And the Kansas City Chiefs visiting the Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs do an awful lot well on offense that Indianapolis struggle with defensively. Spencer Ware could run wild in this game at running back and control the clock should the Chiefs have the lead late. A positive for the Colts is that the Chiefs' pass rush hasn't really existed at all this year, and maybe the offensive line for Indy can hold up enough for luck to get some throws off, but they haven't really found a line that they could win a battle with yet this season, and that as always remains a concern for the Colts in any game. I had sworn myself off short road favourites, but I'm going to go back in on this game purely on the matchups on the field, looking to favour the Chiefs hugely against a porous Colts defence that ranks dead last against the run and 29th against the pass per Football Outsiders DVOA rankings. If Indianapolis are to win this game, it's likely going to be with a big day for Frank Gore and themselves controlling the clock at the end of the game. But that just isn't the way the Colts play. If the Colts win a game, they've got the ball in Andrew Luck's hands in the fourth quarter late with a chance to score and take the lead because the defence just isn't good enough to stop anyone. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs giving less than a field goal. They're minus 2.5 points to beat the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. Moving on to college, obviously, for anyone that hasn't watched the show before, I compile some ratings. They highlight plays, strength of plays between 1 and 7 points. Obviously, 7 points being a maximum bet. We don't see that many of them. They do tend to get better throughout the season. We have had a fairly horrific start to the year. We are 67, 117 and 6. Currently down almost 200 points. I will also be putting up an accumulator, a 2-point accumulator bet, or a parlay, I believe you call them in America. We have hit one of those already this season, so we are up 87 points on the season, which brings us about 100 points down overall for the college football season. I'm going to run through the plays that my ratings have highlighted now. The first game is tonight. 2 points on USC versus California to go under the total line of 76.5 points at 10-11 with Bet365. And Pittsburgh against Virginia Tech tonight as well. That's under 57 total points. With Bet365, all the bets are with Bet365 basically. Tomorrow night, Navy against South Florida, a couple of games in a row, back-to-back wins for Navy, being underdogs. I think this game's got a shootout written all over it, over 65.5 total points. I'm going to have 3 points on that. Moving on to the Saturday slate, Houston against the University of Central Florida, 3 points on Houston minus 9.5 and 2 points on over 59 total points in that game. I'll be having 1 point on Kentucky plus 5.5 to beat Missouri. Prefer the under in the game, 3 points on under 70.5 total points in that game. Michigan against Michigan State, a big battle in the Big Ten that's actually looking like a complete mismatch. However, the total is 55. My numbers say that's high. I'll be having 3 points on under 55 points in Michigan against Michigan State. Penn State against Purdue. Fresh off the win against Ohio State last weekend. Penn State get Purdue. It's a much easier game. You would think it's a letdown spot, but I think they can cover this line. I wouldn't be so keen at 14, but the line is 13.5 at the moment. So I will throw a point on Penn State minus 13.5 to beat Purdue. And I'm going to have a point on over 57 total points in that game as well. West Virginia against Oklahoma State. The over-under on that game is 65 points. I will be playing 3 points on the under in that game. Texas against Baylor. I think Texas took a live dog against Baylor. I think their resume stacks up better than the Bears at this stage. I'll be playing Texas getting the hook, plus 3.5 points against Baylor, and 3 points on under 72.5 total points in that game. Miami against Notre Dame. I'll be taking Miami -2 to beat Notre Dame, who don't have an awful lot left to play for this year. 4 points on the -2 and 2 points on under 58 total points in the game. Miami of Ohio against Eastern Michigan. I will play 3 points on them receiving a touchdown. Miami of Ohio plus a 7 against Eastern Michigan. 2 points on under 50 total points in that game. Wyoming out in the Pac-12 against Boise State. 3 points on them plus 13.5 points to beat Boise. I'm going to play a point on Wyoming to win the game outright as well on the money line. Florida International getting 17 points against Middle Tennessee. I will throw a point on that because that line's a bit big. And I will play a point on over 63 total points in that game. The play of the week really is Auburn against Ole Miss. I'm going to have 5 points on Auburn, -4.5 to beat Ole Miss this week. And I'm going to have 5 points on under 63 total points in that game. The final play is 3 points on Stanford, -5.5 to beat Arizona. The accumulator this week, the 2 points as usual. We're going to play Auburn -4.5, Clemson -4.5 against Florida State, Central Florida Houston to go over the number of 59, Indiana -4.5 against Maryland, Northwestern plus 27.5 against Ohio State. That's too many points in my opinion. And Miami of Ohio plus 7 in a sixfold. That pays odds of 48.41, so just nearly 47.5 to 1. Should we cop all 6? Let me know in the comments what you think's going to happen in the NFL and the college football this week. Please do like the video, subscribe to my channel, give me a follow on Twitter at dansports.tips. Best of luck if you're having a play. See you next week.